Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about the power of life test runs that can now be run in Dungeons and Dragons because of the new canon change in Dungeons and Dragons. So the major change that has dramatically made Dungeons and Dragons far more powerful and valuable to humanity, to all of humanity, happened on July 23rd, 2021. So Forgotten Realms came out back in the 80s, and Ed Greenwood was one of the primary movers and the shakers for it. It came in under Gary Gygax's watch, and Forgotten Realms, became kind of the default. I think probably a year after it came out, Forgotten Realms really became the default background of Dungeons and Dragons. On July 23rd, 2021, Forgotten Realms was made canon in Magic the Gathering. So Dungeons and Dragons has over 30 realms. Magic the Gathering has over 30 realms, different realms that it's connected to. Forgotten Realms is both. It's Dungeons and Dragons and it's Magic the Gathering. Forgotten Realms makes sure that every single story told in the Magic the Gathering universe is canon to Dungeons and Dragons, because there's no portal. Forgotten Realms exists in Magic the Gathering and exists in D&D, and that means Forgotten Realms is connected to every Dungeons and Dragons realm story, and it is connected to every single story told in the Magic the Gathering multiverse, in the multiverse that contains all the MTG realms and contains all the Dungeons and Dragons realms. And it changed everything. Now, here's the kicker. Forgotten Realms is in the MTG Realms collection, and connected to Forgotten Realms is Fortnite. Fortnite has IRL, real people in it, right? So LeBron James, Naomi Osaka, Bruno Mars, the list goes on and on and on, right? There's no less than like 50 IRL real people who are, so IRL Earth, connected to Fortnite, connected to Forgotten Realms. It's that direct, okay? So all this is happening and all this is going on, and you reach a point where, and this is important because that means just like LeBron James is canon in Dungeons and Dragons, you are canon in Dungeons and Dragons, right? And so once you realize you are canon in Dungeons and Dragons, you can request your Dungeon Master to tell a story where you can run a test run for life, okay? Now this gets incredibly interesting, because if you can run any type of challenge that happens in your life in canon, in Dungeons & Dragons, appropriately, correctly, involving your Dungeon Master and every one of the other players at your table, right, you get the following. All right, so I've been watching Foundation, and Foundation is it's a powerful science fiction show on, it's a very powerful science fiction show that is on that is on Apple TV. Okay, so Apple TV has this Apple TV has this show Foundation, and it put forward the story of Harry Seldon, who was a psychohistorian who could predict the future with math. The show is absolutely brilliant and resonates, in my humble opinion, at the same frequency of American philosophy that Gary Gygax put forward, right? So once you put that into place and you understand that, right, the things that are talked about in the show are very relevant to this new model of life test runs, right? Being able to do something in Dungeons and Dragons, not in IRL, first and or multiple times, right? So if you want to get married, if you want to put your parents into a old folks home, if you want to take a job in Texas, right? If you want to buy a house, anything that has risk and there's danger to it and you don't know how to proceed, you can run it as a test model in Dungeons & Dragons by canon, right? It's not some weird experiment. Dungeons & Dragons was built for it, right? And there were a lot of companies that came together to make this possible. Epic, Disney, Wizards of the Coast, all of them are in, right? And each one of them have said, hey, we are connecting. And the owners of the Lord of the Rings, which has a huge release, right? Everything in all these worlds are now Dungeons and Dragons stories by canon. Okay, all right. So let's connect all the dots, right? So Foundation has said in Foundation at the beginning of one of the episodes, it says the following. It says, "Faith is a sword forged in the fires of infinity." Right? Now, let me get that. This is important, right? This is important for the lost, okay? Now, I'm an evangelical Christian. I'm saved, I'm covered, right? I'm incredibly blessed, and I've lived an outrageously blessed life. I have a beautiful wife. I have 4 kids. They are launching out into the world, valedictorians, honors programs, and when they hit the commercial world, they're crushing it. Right? And none of this is coming from me being a great dad. It's coming from God laid. My father became a Christian when my mother showed him the Bible, and my father and mother raised me as a Christian, and I became a Christian, and God put His hand upon me, right, and blessed me because of the faith of my father and my mother, right. And I live an incredibly blessed life, right. So I don't need the infinite, but the lost do. Let's talk about the lost, right? So if you're faithless, right, what do you got in this world? Well, I'll tell you right now, you ain't got nothing in this world but yourself, right? And the reality is, and that means you're alone, right? But Dungeons and Dragons can truly help you. It can give you the infinite, right? So you don't know the answers to life, right? And and you could see it every day. There are people who make outrageously bad choices, right? End up in prisons, end up self-deleting, end up doing 100 different bad things because they make the wrong decisions, right? So how do you make the right decisions? Well, so one, I highly encourage you to become a Christian and become blessed like me. That's the best path. I know you ain't gonna do that. I have shared the gospel with so many people I can't even remember. It's probably about 50 people, right? And actually through this channel, probably 10,000, right? And I've never in my life have somebody say, "Hey, you shared the gospel with me and I accepted." You're going to stay lost, right? So I have a deep care for you. I know that basically you got 75 years on this planet and then you're done. You going down, not up, right? And you think you're going nowhere, but that ain't the case, right? So while you're here, you don't want to waste your time, right? You don't want to pay the brutal, savage price of mistakes because you did not run them, because you did not forge faith in yourself in the fires of the infinite. Faith is a sword forged in the fires of the infinite. You have that infinite now. It was given to you on July 23rd, 2021. On that day, Dungeons & Dragons became the most powerful, free, intellectual force on the planet for the lost. It is the best hope for your life, right? You find a dungeon master, you find 4 other Dungeons & Dragons players who are going to be life forgers, right? Who are going to run abstraction to action to assertion. They're going to assist the dwarves in the mines of Phandelver on Saturday, and then 1 week later, Sally is going to buy a house in the same canon universe with Mordenkainen starting a session in Brookhaven, Pennsylvania, or wherever you live, with Mordenkainen handing out a latte, and your player characters all statted as yourselves, right? And you're going to forge faith in yourself, in never having to pay the brutal, savage costs of IRL mistakes, because you have run your life 1, 3, 7 times through a gauntlet of a brilliant, passionate dungeon master who cares about you, and brilliant, passionate players who care about you, both of who are challenged to bring forward ideas on how for you to have better possibilities in your life, and with awesome math rocks interrupting both of your innovation and scattering the pieces and bringing forth wisdom. Forge faith in yourself through the fires of the infinite. Dungeons & Dragons is the most powerful intellectual force on the planet for the lost today. I care about you. I don't want you to lose this opportunity. Get on it. All that's my humble opinion. I'd love to hear yours. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and want to have a wonderful millennium.